I know what I need to know about cameras, but if I get onto a set and I'm directing and I'm going to be in charge of all these other things, oh, my brain just went into 14 different tangents of things I could talk about because this is kind of a trope on set of like, when you meet someone, they'll ask you like, oh, what do you shoot on or something. And whenever that's someone's first question to me, I get very like, I write them off immediately. I'm like, you're clearly not worried about storytelling. If your first question is to vet me and see what I know about cameras.
It depends on their tone of voice. Like sometimes it seems like somebody's just trying to make conversation, but other people, they make it seem like they're kind of almost running a purity test on you.
Totally. And I read into it. Maybe I'm not reading into it too much and I'm just qualifying myself, but I do read into it as like a female male thing. I get sized up all the time on projects for being a girl, I think.
I wanted to ask you about that. Like how, like just even besides the projects you're on, going to film school, like did you feel a difference being a woman?
Oh, no, definitely. I think it is a boy's game. It's a man's world in that sense. But I mean, there are a lot of really talented gals. But you do kind of have to like, you either have to sometimes give in to like being one of the guys or be a little bit more strong about how you feel and run the risk of people viewing you a certain way. And so I kind of have just tried to do my best to size every project up individually and, you know, and figure it out as I go. And I, as an adult, have had to stop apologizing for things because that's been a whole thing that I didn't realize I was doing in emails and in person. And like, instead of just asking for exactly what I want, I don't have to say, I'm sorry, it's going to be kind of tight here or whatever. I can just say it because I don't know why I always feel like I have to apologize but anyways, there's things like that.
It should be undeniable when somebody's good at their job too. You know, like no matter who they are, if you see them performing their job and they're good at it, it's like, how can you pretend that that's not happening unless you suck?
I think I used to, especially in college, I really cared about how people felt about me because I didn't know how I felt about myself. So it was always very like, I wanted people to view me a certain way on set. I used to help direct a comedy show on campus, like a live comedy thing that we would record. And I got way too into it. Like for me, and looking back, I'm like, I was way too invested. I cared so much about what the output looked like because that's how I am in projects sometimes. It's just, I want it to be, if I'm going to be involved, it's going to be the best it can be because that reflects on me. Mm-hmm. But then what I didn't realize is like, it's a comedy show. It's a college comedy show where people are just looking to have fun. And I was like super intense about it for no reason.
That's why I know who you are. I was at like an AFA meeting and you were there like explaining how the comedy night needed like a new editor or something like that. And
I forgot about that. That is how we met, isn't it?
Probably.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, but I was just really...
I think I fake inquired.
Really?
I was always like obsessed with just trying to meet everybody and build relationships and stuff. So I think like if I spoke to you, I probably knew I wasn't available. Right. I was just like, what's this all about?
Yeah. Yeah. But that was kind of like my first taste of like, people are going to like, I was really intense about it, but I also really cared about how people felt about me. And so when I would hear feedback or feel a certain way of like how people took things the way I said it, I would get really, really insecure. And now I'm kind of at the point where I don't care as much. Like I care about people's feelings. I want everyone to have a good time on set, but I'm not as intense as I used to be. Like I'm definitely like, we're all here to, you know, work for the same goal. And if someone's gonna have a feeling about me, they think I was a bitch on set because I was just being a director, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't bother me as much as it used to. It definitely used to be a big thing for me. But
I've worked with men and women, directors, camera people, gaffers, and it's like all I give a shit about is that like they're a cool person, they're good at their job, really.
Yeah, no, you certainly were one of, I have like 3 friends from college and you're one of them. Like I really only retained a few people and that's not necessarily anybody's fault. It just is what happened. But I have, so many stories of, that's why I say, like, if someone's first question to me is, what do you shoot on? Or they ask something technical, and you can tell by the tone, I just write them off in my head immediately. You. Yeah, because it happens with men all the time where it's like, or if I'm doing, I don't know, BTS on a set or whatever it is, like, and their first question to me is, what do you shoot on? I'm like, you think I'm underqualified. And that's what I'm assuming because it's happened so many times that maybe it's rude for me to assume that's what a man is insinuating. But I'm just jaded now. And so if their first question to me is not like, oh, how'd you get to be part of this project? Or like, what kind of story are you trying to tell? Or how long have you been involved? Or whatever it is. But if they want to talk to me, if they want to talk shop, I can talk shop. That's fine. Yeah. But it makes me feel like...
I think dudes do that to each other well. But like with a woman, they're probably... they might not even be aware of it, but they probably just have a more natural inclination to be like,
right.
And like, that's not cool.
Right.
Like, I know this one woman I'm friends with, and she was doing, like you just said, like set photography, and the camera team, I think, like was giving them a hard time about the camera that they were taking photos on. Or the way she was shooting, yeah. And it's just like, come on, guys, like it's not even your job. Yeah. Like leave them alone.
Totally. Well, and I'm also of the opinion of, if you're a good artist and good storyteller, it doesn't matter what you're shooting on. It shouldn't matter what you're shooting on.
Well, it'd be crazy if I like went over to the sound guy.
Yeah.
And I was like,
trust that they know how to do.
What microphone are you using? It's like, yeah, the set photographer is using a camera, but also it's like there are people who have like a really like basic camera that do better work than people with the most expensive one.
Totally.
You know? So it's like you're saying, it's just there's a lot of insinuations.
Yeah, with certain projects, it's also just like it's the content rather than the quality of the or it's the quality of the content of like what's in the content, not like what the pixels are. You know, like sometimes it's just different. But yeah, I think with guys, and I was even talking to a friend in LA who also, you know, works on sets all the time, and I was talking about that specific thing about how the talking shop thing. He was like, no, I think sometimes it's guys doing it to each other too because they genuinely are talking about it, and sometimes it is other men sizing other men up too. It's kind of like a how, you know, who's biggest bigger, and it's kind of that thing too.
Yeah.
But I definitely, and I've had some really good experiences with men on set, which are the people that I continue to work with, and then I've had some really bad ones. But I even have like, all these things are coming to my brain, but I recently worked on a commercial with Dean, who is such a great partner to work with, but he had told me, he was like, I really want to make sure that we got to kind of handpick our set a little bit. So we just really wanted to make sure it was a diverse set. And then, you know, he was like, I want to make sure it's like kind of a female heavy set, which it was probably close-ish to 50-50. But part of me was like, oh, I really appreciate that he wants to make this a really like female heavy set because we co-directed it. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to, I think it was like the prop master on set. And she was like, there's so many ladies here. Because normally when I'm on set, there's like one other gal, you know.
Yeah, it's usually weighted.
It's very weighted. And so she's like, there's so many ladies here. And I was like, yeah. Dean really wanted to make sure it was a female heavy set. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to like go thank him. And then I stopped and I was like, no,
don't.
Absolutely do not go thank Dean for including us. You know, like
make this normal by not even bringing it up.
Exactly. Yeah. And I even had that moment where I was like, I don't remember if I said something to Dean like, oh, I appreciate that. Like I can't remember exactly if I did or not, but if I did, I'm kicking myself because while I do appreciate Dean for the person he is, and making sure that there was a diverse set, he doesn't need my thanks.
Well, it just shows like if it was a racial thing, like it would definitely be unspoken. Nobody would be like, wow, this is like a really
I'm not about to continue thanking men for just including me while I'm perfectly qualified to be there. You know?
Yeah.